A very good evening and welcome to Newsfirst's latest foray into the digital era. Welcome to Yes 101 Visual Radio. As all our viewers are aware, Newsfirst has always strived to bring you a more enhanced experience with each new segment and each new news item that we have introduced over the years. And Yes 101 Visual Radio is the latest addition to that wide gamut of enhanced news viewing experience we have brought to you over the years, mixing stunning visuals, engaging visuals with your audio and listening experience. Bringing you the latest visual radio segment this evening for the Newsfirst team, I'm Jayama Ratnayaka, joined by my co-host this evening, Kenza Farooq, who will be bringing us the headlines that we have compiled for you. Good evening to you, Kenza. What are your headlines this evening?
Good evening, Jayama.
News First headline.
Taking a look at your headlines for this evening, UN FAO Director General meets President. Abolition of the executive presidency is a promise that will not be fulfilled, says Mahanayaka of the Malwata chapter of the Siam sect. Voices of Sri Lankan citizens must be heard in online safety bill, says US Ambassador to Sri Lanka. In our international news, ICJ begins hearings into Israeli occupation of Palestinian lands. And finally, in your sports news, Sri Lanka and Afghanistan face off in second T20.
Let's take a look at those stories in detail. First up in news from here at home, Dr. Koo Den Yong, Director General of the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, or the FAO, paid a courtesy visit to President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat this afternoon, commending the President's leadership and Sri Lanka's economic challenges. The Director General of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has appreciated the program implemented by President Ranil Wickremesinghe for the people of Sri Lanka in the face of economic challenges. During the meeting, Dr. Dong Yu conveyed congratulations to President Wickremesinghe for his efforts in navigating Sri Lanka through the recent economic crisis and subsequent reforms. He assured the President of the FAO's unwavering support to both the government and the people of Sri Lanka during these critical times.
Taking a look at more local news, Mahanayaka of the Malwata chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Thibbatueva Sri Sumangala Theros, says abolition of the executive presidential system is a promise that will not be fulfilled. The Mahanayaka Theros stated this when the Organization for the Reorganization of Truth and Reconciliation called on the Most Venerable Thero this morning. The Most Venerable Thero pointed out that although the matter of abolishing the executive presidency has been discussed for an extended period of time, it has not happened. The Thero further emphasized that politicians are deceiving the people by claiming that the executive presidency will be abolished. Meanwhile, views regarding the abolition of executive presidency were also expressed in the political arena. This is what Parliamentarian Professor G.L. Piris and Parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa had to say on the matter. Professor G.L. Piris says the only option left for the government is to attempt to abolish the executive presidency. He added that it is enshrined in the Constitution that the presidential election must be held between the 17th of September and 17th of October, and a new president must be sworn in before the 17th of November 2024. Parliamentarian Nama Rajapaksa says the SLPP is ready to face any sort of election and that he believes the president will hold the presidential election at the right time.
Taking a look at more news from here at home, US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung voiced strong concerns about the recently passed Online Safety Act, citing three main areas of worry, which are the alleged flawed process, intent, and potential chilling effect on free speech. Here is the US Ambassador elaborating further.
And you've heard our concerns about this online safety bill, but it really goes down to three categories of that. It's the process, the intent, and then the implementation. The process, which many see as deeply flawed, not taking in extensive input and suggestions from a wide variety of stakeholders. The intent, while it's supposedly intended to combat things like pornography online and attacks against women and children, the broad definition is concerning. And finally, the implementation of it. We have yet to see how this bill will be implemented, and there is an amendment process we hear is undergoing. But when it's implemented, will it truly do what it says is the intent, or will it have that chilling effect? It's not just about the voices of the United States or the international community. More importantly than our voices are the voices of Sri Lankan citizens.
International news.
Now, Jamal, taking a look at your international news for this evening, the United Nations highest court is set to open historic hearings into the legality of Israel's 57-year occupation of the Palestinian territories. The week-long proceedings, which begin at the International Court of Justice in The Hague on Monday, come as Israel continues its devastating war on Gaza. The assault has killed more than 29,000 Palestinians since October 7th. The case is separate from the genocide complaint South Africa filed at the ICJ against Israel for its alleged violations in the ongoing war. It focuses instead on Israel's occupation of the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem since 1967. The Palestinians seek all three areas for an independent state.
Kenza, of course, this is a story that News First has been following very closely, and that has grabbed attention of the international arena. So we will continue to bring you news from the Israeli occupation of Gaza and the latest ongoings in Palestine. Meanwhile, we will now move on to sports news.
Sports news.
Finally, in sports news, Sri Lanka will take on Afghanistan in the second T20 of the three-match series at the Dambulla International Cricket Stadium. Afghanistan won the toss a short while ago and decided to bowl. After a nail-biting first game of the series, which Sri Lanka won by a slender 4-run margin, the hosts will be looking to complete a series win tonight with a game to spare. However, after an unfortunate display, the visiting Afghanistan players will be looking to turn their luck around and level the series 1-1. Sri Lanka completed a series sweep of the ODIs against Afghanistan and won the one-off test, and Vanidu Hasranga's men will be looking to edge closer to another series whitewash with a win tonight. The third and final T20 will be played between the two teams on Wednesday, the 21st of February. And with that news, we wrap up this edition of Yes 101 Visual Radio. Thank you very much for stopping by and joining us on Visual Radio. Thank you very much, Kenza.
Thank you very much, Jama. So for the Newsfirst team, I'm Kenza Farooq.
Take care and good night.
Good night.